Hello, my name is Israel, and today I'm going to be showing how I safeguard access to our AWS resources with least privilege. I'm going to be showing you guys the company, the roles, and the IAM diagrams for each role. So my fictional company is called Cookie Secure Installations. We're a small integrator for security systems, video monitoring systems, anything alarms related, based in Central Florida. Our field techs, which are our main revenue department, they are in charge of capturing, of course, besides the installations, of course, their main priority. One of the most important things to keep track of are our media. So our photos and videos that our field techs capture relies on our AWS system to be working so that we could capture those images for documentation purposes. Uh, we could use that to show it to the to our customers, which they're probably not going to be in the field when this installation is done. So we can provide them with the evidence that it was correctly done with videos showing the alarm processes as well as any type of training that they would need to store or keep for easy access. We are Our role is to equip that or keep those files safe and also secure. So our customers, like I mentioned, they're gonna be viewing them. So our customers will be like military bases, like Navy, Air Force, or Army. In these military uh, locations or areas. It could be like a skiff. It could be any type of super high clearance area where the ESS administrator would be in charge of any type of documentation regarding our systems because they will be in charge of administering these type of areas. So the personnel, they're going to be viewing them through a portal that we can give them access to. So you can see the correlation between the field techs and how they capture the media, and then the customers are able to access this media afterwards. And of course, we are going to be using for our external, we're going to be using PCs, iPads, and Microsoft 365 for any type of systems that we use to provide our services. So the services we use, it's mainly, of course, AWS. Um, we're going to be using, like it says over here, we're going to be using AWS Core with S3 for media and RDS PostGRE for data. Right. The ECS is going to be for the API, and the ECR is going to be used for images. Now our edge and security, like, is going to be our CloudFront. Like we mentioned in our previous lab, security is super important for any type of system, especially when you talk about cloud, because of the fact that everything relies on it being on a network, right? So everything is running through the network, so you need to be secured. That be uh, the network portion of it, as well as the settings on your cloud, and any type of roles, any type of alert system. You have to have all the settings correctly done so that you can provide our clients the best service possible. Now our use case, field techs, like I mentioned before on the last slide, field techs are going to be uploading media, that be photos, videos, and the customers are going to view it through the portal, while the office, which are our people that are on site, they're going to be running tickets, billing, reports. So all of this is going to be running through our database in the cloud using S3. So we have 5 roles in the company. Currently, we have the field tech uploader, which, like I mentioned before, is going to be uploading media. They're going to be uploading this media to the S3. And then our customer support rep, which are going to be reading the customer media, which means they're going to be looking at the documentation provided by the field techs when they do the installations. It could be previously, before the install, or after the install. This is super effective because once we ship the equipment, we would need to have the field techs know, or like the customer support reps know that everything got there on time. Keep them in the loop so that they can provide the best customer service to our clients. Um, so they're going to be in charge of reading the customer media. That means any type of communication between the customer to the company, they would be essentially talking with them. They will be also reading logs from troubleshooting, like I mentioned. The field techs are going to be giving them information, and then they're able to like answer any type of questions that the customer might have when it's about when they're trying to fix something. The security analyst, they're essentially is going to be a role that's going to be looking at any type of security risk in our cloud system. They're going to be reading GuardDuty, CloudTrails, logs, and they're going to be able to describe KMS keys as well. Very important. Our DevOps engineer, they're going to be pushing images using ECR and updates via ECS service. They're going to be reading CFN, and they're going to be writing logs. Our billing analyst, they're going to be viewing the cost explorer and the billing data, just trying to make it as most cost efficient possible for the company. So our first role is going to be the field tech uploader. Their responsibilities, essentially, like I mentioned before, they're going to be capturing the media from the job site. They're going to be using the mobile app to do so. They're going to be uploading the media to the correct project folder in S3. This is very important because having that correct folder in S3, or having a really good system, makes it very efficient for any other department to get a hold of that information. They're going to be applying basic tags like the project name, or job ID, the site. For example, it could be key field, ANG. So it will be key 0035E for equipment, and then the site key field, and then this date. That would be the basic tags essentially. The required permissions are going to be S3 with a put object tagging, and then we have the scope, and at the end we're going to have the username, and then the condition of the bucket. The rationale, I added this just to explain that the techs only need to write their own files. They're going to be denying read and list prevents and prevents exposure to other customers' data and limits blast radius. Essentially, we're trying to limit the access as much as possible because they're only writing the data that they need to provide the other departments or need to provide for documentation. So we don't need them accessing other types of data or other projects folders in our S3, so that we can limit that reproduction of bad data, or just having a security just having it as a security measure. The next role would be the customer support rep. Their responsibilities essentially, they're gonna be viewing the customer media and answering the support questions. It's pretty simple. They're gonna read over the logs just to verify the upload and processing status. The very important tag here, they're not able to modify infrastructure or data, so they're not able to like change anything. Is mainly read only access, so they can provide the best type of service, and we don't have any type of scramble in the data by a fat finger or any type of mislog or something. So there is very important that require permissions. They're not able to write or uh, uh, just have the read-only access. Our next role is going to be the security analyst. Their responsibilities are going to be monitoring the security in the company or in a cloud data. They're going to be using GuardDuty, CloudTrails, and just logs to essentially investigate any type of findings. And they're going to also report on trends. And they also are meant to actually try to give us a way to countermeasure the security issues. So their permissions are simple. They are going to be seeing events and finding, but they're not able to change any resources, and they're not able to change any decrypt any data. So they're going to have a strict read only, and are only able to support the investigations in a manner that is safe, so that we can prevent any type of um, inside job or any type of selling of information or anything like that. Since we're working with military equipment and military bases, this is very important because we don't want them leaking any type of location for a military base or like a skiff or any type of super high clearance area. We don't want them to leak any type of security that these locations might have, mainly because there are security analysts. They have access to every single uh, security measure in any type of location where we work on. Next, it's our DevOps engineer. Their responsibility are basically to deploy. They're going to be deploying images. They're going to be deploying rollback images using ECS. So they're going to be using uh, they're gonna have their like editing portion because they're gonna be able to like um, ship out images. So these are our most important role in the company because they are in charge of our essentially R&D department. So they're the last resource before we ship out an image. Next is our billing analyst. So their responsibilities essentially they're going to be reviewing our AWS spend and usage. They're meant to create cost reports and forecast, and they're meant to advise our support or our leaders in the company, our directors for every department, to or managers/managers, so that they can provide the most cost-efficient opportunities for them. So um, a manager decides they want to implement a they want to give the techs, for example, the install department manager wants to give the techs a new batch of scanners. The billing analyst is meant to, you know, give them a better cost saving advice on that. So their permissions essentially consist of using the visibility that they have into the cost and usage, but they're not able to modify resources, policies, or data. This is very important because they have access to our essentially our whole accounting. So they're meant to only see that portion of it, and they're not meant to modify it because we don't want to have a security issue, or we don't want to have a shortage in a quarter because a billing analyst was able to fat finger a number and now we're short in a quarter and we have to have layoffs in the company. So now we're gonna go over real quick over the IAM diagrams. So the first one is gonna be the field tech, and as you can see, we have the principal, the IAM role, the identity policy, which we talked about earlier, and the allow resources. Now we're gonna go over real quick over the customer support rep, and he has his identity center group, CRS, his IAM role, and then we have his identity policy, which is going to be read only or read customer media logs, which is that's like I mentioned, read only. They're not able to change anything. And we have our allow resources, what they are able to see, which is the media from the customers. Now we're gonna go over the security analyst. They're gonna be doing the they're gonna be in the identity center group sec analyst, and their role, as well as the identity policy, which is gonna be security real only. Like I mentioned before, they're only meant to use CloudTrail, and CloudFront, and the logs to be able to like see any type of uh, security measure or any type of security breach and go over that, but they're not meant to change anything, mainly read only and then gather data to provide a solution to it. Next, we have the DevOps engineer, and he's going to be in the DevOps Center group. His identity policy, and like I mentioned before, they deploy the images via ECS, and they also use ECR, and they also use logs. So that's why I named it that way. They're allowed to push out the images. They're allowed to describe it, and they're allowed to create logs of it, but they're not able to change it. Or sorry, edit old ones. The billing analyst, finally, the billing analyst is the last one. So where there's just going to be the principal, the identity center. It's going to be billing. Simple. His identity policy is going to be billing view only. So like I mentioned on the previous slide, they're going to be able to like get the information from the customers, or get the information from like the essentially our accounting, and then also describe it, but they're not able to edit them. Now we're gonna go over the resource base IAM, and for the first one we have S3 Media Bucket. Right now we have the bucket, and then we also have the policy grants. So for the first one, we have, as you can see, we have the fuel tech uploader role, and then the actions, which is going to put the object, and then also the tagging. Like I mentioned before, all the way in the start, they're going to be using simple tagging for the fuel text to upload media. And then the scope is meant to upload. So our principal CRS role, and then the action to get the object, and then the customer, the scope is customer. So now we're gonna go over the S3 audit logs bucket, and then we're gonna we're gonna talk about the research policy grants. So this is meant to be used by the security analyst role, because they're gonna be able to get the object, and then as a scope, they're gonna be able to get the logs and then the account. So they're gonna be able to get the logs from certain accounts or any type of account they want. So the KMS key alias, or the CSI app. So this is going to be used by the security analyst role. They're going to be able to like encrypt and also decrypt and generate data keys, and they're also going to be describing the key. Now we're going to go over this ECR repo. The research policy grants it grants essentially the DevOps senior role, and the actions would be to get batch to get the image. So essentially, like what I mentioned before, they're in charge of creating the image and putting it out there, or pushing it out. So they're gonna be able to like, the actions are batch, get the image, and then put the image. And that's gonna be all for my presentation. Thank you for listening.